Hey, welcome back to my channel. I am Victoria-Monique and I am here to assist you in stepping fully back into your magic. If you already feel that you are fully back into your magic and you just came here to check out how to play this wonderful game of life, which sometimes sucks as hard as whatever sucks hard, and most of the times is really amazing because contrast is necessary. Yeah, if you're here for that, then you came to the right address. Today I am going to read to you from my Neville reader, chapter 11, from the Law and the Promise, the Potter, and we will see what else comes through that I would love to share with you. As of this second, I have no idea, and that's how it all goes. Like, that's how I do my life generally. I just see how it goes, what comes through, what I want to share, who I want to bump into. Yesterday I had the craziest day of the people that I ran into, and it's all an orchestration. And that's also how I go with reading these things and making these videos, and none of them are scripted. I might have an idea of what I am going to share, and most of the time something completely different comes out. So let's see. Chapter 11, from the Law and the Promise, the Potter. Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will let you hear my words. So I went down to the potter's house, and there he was, working at his wheel. And the vessel he was making of clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to do. Cool. My first comment. The vessel he was making was spoiled, and he made it into another one. So it doesn't matter when you miscreate, you just recreate. The word translated potter means imagination. Out of material, others would have thrown away as useless an awakened imagination, refashioned it as it ought to be. So one more time. Out of material, others would have thrown away as useless an awakened imagination, refashioned it as it ought to be. So nothing ever goes to waste. You can reuse it and refashion it. O Lord, thou art our Father, we are the clay, and thou art our potter. We are all the work of thy hand. This conception of creation as a work of imagination, and the Lord our Father as our imagination, will take us further into the mystery of creation than any other guide. The only reason people do not believe in this identity of God and human imagination is that they are unwilling to assume the responsibility for their frightful misuse of imagination. Side note, don't take anything on that doesn't serve you, always. Like, you can have that be a subconscious command you give yourself, but sometimes I hear Neville say things that I'm like, Neville, this might be true for you, but this is not true for me. And bless the dude, because he's amazing. He was amazing, and he's still here because everything is now. So who knows? He might even be my next door neighbor in a parallel reality. The thing is, only and always take on what is beneficial to you. So I say it now, you can have this be your subconscious belief forever. Yeah, only take on what serves you, and for the rest, chuck it. Ear in, ear out. Okay, divine imagination has descended to the level of human imagination, that human imagination may ascend to divine imagination. The 8th Psalm says that man was made a little lower than God. Not a little lower than the angels, as the King James Version mistakenly translates it. Angels are the emotional dispositions of man and are therefore his servant and not his superior, as the author of Hebrews tells us. Interesting. Imagination is the real man and is one with God. Imagination creates, conserves, and transforms. Imagination is radically creative. When all imaginative activity based on memory disappears. Wow. Okay. Imagination is radically creative when all imaginative activity based on memory disappears. So this means, like with the potter, right? The clay, he refashions it into something completely new. So it's with revision or forgetting something. You're always someone new. And do you remember, if you've listened to more of my videos, then you know how I love this quote from Bashar. Each and every moment, you're moving from parallel reality to parallel reality. It's your consistency of self-definition that makes it seem as if changes take time. If you really learn to redefine yourself wholly and behave like you have done it, you will be a different person in a different reality with a different history, a different DNA, and a different life experience. I messed it up a little, but this is what it boils down to. So this is also what Neville says here, that when all imaginative activity that's based on memory, when it disappears, then imagination is radically creative. Now, I don't know if I haven't met anyone that has lost his memory, or I haven't met anyone that have completely changed their memory of the past. But I do know for me, a version of me has experienced things in the past that were intense. And they don't have any hold on me whatsoever anymore. I have a vague, I know that they happened. The sting of these things is out of it. It's kind of like looking at a black and white picture or looking at a movie and not feeling anything with that movie. So from that point, we can radically create something different. So being indifferent to whatever has happened before a long time ago, just now, that's how you can use radical imagination, or that's how you can use imagination to its fullest power. Imagination is conservative when its imaginal activity is fed with images supplied mainly by memory. Imagination is transformative when it varies a theme already in being. When it mentally alters a fact of life, when it leaves the fact out the remembered experience, or puts something in its place, if it upsets the harmony it desires. So he already said, right? Imagination creates, conserves, and transforms. So the creation, the radical creation, is when everything based on a memory disappears. It's conservative when we are like regurgitating the past, because it conserves, it keeps in place that what you remember. And when is a memory created? Now, because there is only now. Like, really get that. The past is created from the now, like the future. There's only simultaneous time. And it's transformative when you revise something. Do you remember the story that I told? I think it was my last video. It's called Changing the Past, and it's how Neville teaches revision. And it's about the man who has a Cocker Spaniel and the panhandler and blah. He used his imagination transformative. He used the story that was already in place, and he tweaked it here and there to his pleasure. And what I really loved from that story was how he relieved himself. How he relieved himself. Because I don't know if you know Neville's work. He says that one of the most important and one of the strongest emotions is relief, the feeling of relief. And I know this to be true for me, that whenever I feel this feeling of, I literally feel my whole body relax, and it's possible for something to drop in, an idea, literally a person, a phone call, money, whatever. So the feeling of relief. Okay. Through the use of her imagination, this talented young artist has made her dream a reality. Oh, we like that. Ever since I entered into the art field, I have enjoyed doing sketches and paintings for children's rooms. However, I have been discouraged by advisors and friends, nice friends, who were far more experienced in the field than I. They liked my work, admired my talent, but said I would not get recognition nor pay for this type of work. Nice friends. Chuck these friends. Somehow, I always felt I would, but how? Then last fall, I heard your lectures and read your books, and I decided to let my imagination create the reality I desired. This is what I did daily. I imagined I was in a gallery. There was a great deal of excitement about me. On the walls hung my art, only mine, a one-woman show. And I saw red stars on many of the pictures. You know how like the red stars or red dots is when a picture is sold. This would indicate that they had been sold. This is what happened. Just before Christmas, I did a mobile for a friend who showed it in turn to a friend of hers who owns an art import shop in Pasadena. He expressed a desire to meet me, so I took a few samples of my work along. When he looked at the very first painting, he said he would like to give me a one-woman show in the spring. The night of the opening, April 17th, an interior decorator came and liked and commissioned me to do a collage for a little boys' room, which will appear in the September issue of Good Housekeeping for the 1961 House of the Year. Good Housekeeping, love it. Later, during the showing, another decorator came and admired my work so much. He asked if he might arrange for me to meet the right interior decorators and the right owners of galleries who would buy and display my work properly. Incidentally, the show was a financial success for the owner of the gallery as well as for me. The interesting thing about this is that seemingly these three men came out of the blue. Certainly, I made no effort during the time of my imagining to contact anyone. Don't lift a finger, remember? But now I am getting recognition and have a market for my work. And now I know without a shadow of a doubt that there is no when you seriously apply this principle that imagining creates reality. GL. So a side note with the not lifting a finger. Do not lift a finger to make it happen, but, and this is an example of my own life that is happening tonight and that's happening in July. Because sometimes you can lift, you can lift a finger always, but you don't have to. And at times, lifting a finger is inspired action. You cannot not do it. Wild horses cannot stop you from doing it. That's inspired action. And so the example from my own life is this. A friend of mine, he's a DJ producer, and he used my voice for a track in linear time a while ago. And I've been living in Berlin for about 7 years. I've been to New Zealand, almost a year back in Amsterdam. I had always wanted to perform this track on stage, and I never really felt good enough for it. Or let's say a version of me was like, oh, this is like a pipe dream, like a big thing. This version of me is like, psh, I can do that easily and it will be a lot of fun. So when I saw a post of his on Instagram saying that they were organizing a party in July and that the acts haven't been, that they are still putting together what's going to happen on the evening, and but save the date. My first response when I saw that was, oh, let's do the song that we created, or that he created, that I, well, actually co-created because my voice is on there. And so I sent him a message. I lifted a finger, I lifted multiple fingers, and I wrote him a message and I said, hey, let's do our song. And he was like, yeah, I would love that. And so I lifted the finger. And what the finger lift also created was that tonight I will do the trial, because he will play at a club in Amsterdam that I haven't been to. And every time when I see this, because it's located in this particular building, and every time when I see this building, I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder what's there. I would love to go there sometime. Turns out he's playing there tonight, so, and I will be performing there tonight. Like, it's not a big thing, right? And it's a little performance. And so a lot of things are coming together. Like, I will be in the DJ booth because it's not with a stage, it's a tryout, blah, blah. And that's also something that I like. I like hanging out in the DJ booth. And so that will be happening. I won't be playing music. I'll be hanging out there and singing. Not the whole evening. But in any case, this is taking too long now because I want to go back to the story. Moral of this story, you can lift a finger. You can. When it's inspired action. Also when it's not inspired action. And you will find out from the results that it was actually a bit of pushing and pulling that was going on. And you learn from doing things. You don't learn from, ooh, Neville says I can't. Okay, and then just bite your tongue or your fingers off and don't do shit. We're here to experience life. And you will get the feedback like, ooh, okay, no, that was actually lifting a finger in the wrong way. That was not inspired action. And then you don't do it the next time because you know how it feels. All right. 20 minutes already. She tested the potter and proved his creativity in performance. Only the indolent mind would fail to rise to this challenge. Paul states, "The Spirit of God dwells in you. Now examine yourselves to see whether you are holding to your faith. Test yourselves. Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless indeed you fail to meet the test, I hope you will find out that we have not failed. If all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. It should not be difficult for man to test himself, to find out who this creator in himself is. The test will prove to man that his imagination is the one who gives life to the dead and calls into existence the things that do not exist. But actually everything already exists now because creation is finished. The potter's presence in us is inferred from what he does there. We cannot see him there as one, not ourselves. We cannot see him there as one, not ourselves. What a weird sentence. The nature of the potter, Jesus Christ, is to create, and there is no creation without him. So it's about imagination. There's no creation without Jesus Christ, which is your wonderful human imagination. Every recorded story in this book is just such a test as Paul asked the Corinthians to make. God really and truly exists in man, in every human being. God wholly becomes us. He is not our virtue, but our real selves, our imagination. The following illustrations from the mineral world may help us to see how supreme imagining and human imagining could be one and the same power and yet be vastly different in their creativity. Diamond is the world's hardest material. Graphite used in lead pencils is one of the softest. Yet both materials are pure carbon. The vast difference in the properties of the two forms of carbon is believed to be caused by a different arrangement of the carbon atoms. But whether the difference is produced by a different arrangement of the carbon atoms or not, all agree that diamond and graphite are one substance, pure carbon. The purpose of life is the creative realization of desire. Man, lacking desire, could not exist efficiently in a world of continuous problems requiring continuous solutions. We are here for the contrast, and Seth says this: you set your problems in the hope you will solve them, not like millstones around your neck. Because also Seth says, and they all say, that we make these little challenges for ourselves to discover our power. We are here to discover who we really are. We came here thinking we're man, and then discover we're actually God. Okay, a desire is an awareness of something we lack or need to make life more enjoyable. Desires always have some personal gain in view. the greater the anticipated gain, the more intense the desire. There is no really unselfish desire. Even when our desire is for another, we're still seeking to gratify desire. You know what? I'm going to stop here because he goes on and gives a bit more, a couple of more examples. We get the gist of it. The potter is our imagination. You can use imagination, creative, transformative, and conservative. You can choose, right? It's your life. You can choose whatever. I find it the easiest to be able to be creative with my imagination throughout the day because we are always imagining. We're always imagining something because we're always thinking something. We cannot not think. Even when we dream, we're imagining something. We are continuously doing something. When you're in the stillness and meditating, you're still doing something. You're meditating and you're imagining calm. So what I find the easiest to imagine amazing things is to be in charge of my day from the get-go. When I wake up, I always, well, not always, and when I don't, I have a really shitty day, and I've experienced that multiple times. Mostly always, I take at least 10 minutes to sit still and breathe. Box breathing, that's it. Sometimes I journal. I mostly set an intention for the day. What I always do, except when I don't, and it hardly happens, is the breathing. And that always helps me to have control of the imaginings of the day. I'm hyper aware of what is happening here. I'm hyper aware of what reflections I get, good, bad, or indifferent. And what I really love, and that's a tip from Edward Art, and I also used part of it in this video. It's actually also a tip from Neville. So Neville and Edward and me now. Become indifferent to your negative thoughts. So even if you feel like you fell off the horse, which is a judgment and it isn't true because it's just a happening and life is inherently meaningless. Even if you feel like you fell off the horse, become indifferent and say, psh, whatever. And continue to do whatever it is that you are doing, whatever it is that you're creating. Because the mere act of reacting makes it something. And if you become indifferent, it doesn't mean shit. Like people that are really feisty towards you, which you created, and it doesn't matter because it's part of the whole game. And you become indifferent, you're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. There won't be any fight because there's nothing to fight against. This is it, dudes and dudettes, because this is almost 30 minutes now. So much love to you. Have a wonderful weekend if I won't see you before that here on YouTube or elsewhere. And if you want to work with me, check the description. If not, I love you just the same. See you in the next. Peace.